little something like.
What is up, everybody? It's your favorite courtesy to keep it down from G, and I'm here. You are here. We're back here together for another video. So look, listen. You already know the drill by now. Make sure you go ahead, comment, like, and subscribe, and make sure you follow me on all of my medias. That is TikTok and Instagram at @the.brian_, and that is Snapchat at Bdolla from the G, because that is the what place to be. So look, listen, we're back with another one that was unplanned, and I said, what am I doing? Like, how did we get here? But I do believe that this video can and will help not only myself, but those of you that might find yourselves in the same predicament, the same position. So look, this video is titled, as you already see, Parents, right? It is to express some revelations, some internal truths that I've come to that were kind of hard for me to face. So there's nothing else that's gonna hold us back from talking about it. So might as well just go ahead and go right into it. So make sure you go ahead, comment, like, and subscribe, and make sure you continue on for the rest of this video because we got some things to talk about. Okay, enjoy. All right, so look, y'all know whenever I have a notebook in front of me, that's probably the indication that something deeper, something unplanned happened, and I had to write about it and create a video about it. So this is what this is, because I'm telling you, I do have a schedule, I do, but it just, you know, stuff come to me, I feel like to post it and talk about it. So this is what we're gonna do. All right. So just as a basis of what we're getting ready to get into, I think being one who hasn't had the most extreme upbringing, or the one who hasn't had the worst story, I think sometimes I realize that sometimes I don't honor or acknowledge my story as much as I probably should, simply because I never want to be in the position to where it seems as though that I'm ungrateful, or it seems as though like you're just trying to, you know, make your story look worse than, you know, it actually is. And I think even in that, even in holding back due to the sake of others, I think that allows me to not face or to acknowledge certain truths, certain emotions, because I think it's gonna be perceived a certain way, right? So I was just sitting one day and I was kind of just analyzing, you know, my relationships, the relationship that I hold close to me, and I realized that I do this thing to where, like, even with my close relationships, I still feel a certain level of like distance. It's almost like those who have even proven themselves to be trustworthy, those who have proven themselves to be one's worth of closeness, I still find a sense of guardedness when it comes to those relationships. So I'm sitting there kind of just thinking and kind of just trying to really figure out, okay, where does this come from? Where do I see it? That kind of thing. And instantly I go to my childhood and I'm like, okay, you know, I think I've talked about it before, but, you know, my father wasn't present, or as present as he probably should have been. So my upbringing was definitely, early on, was me, my mother, and my two older sisters. And I think, yes, my father does have a part to play in the way that I emotionally handle relationships, because even in that, I developed a thing where I would emotionally distance myself, or emotionally be like, I'm good, I'm okay, to protect myself, to not, I guess, not have to face certain realities or face certain emotions that may have been uncomfortable. And for a long time, and I told my sister this, I said, you know, for a long time, it was easy for me to acknowledge my father's part to play, but I realized even in a moment that even when it comes to my mother or certain truths that may be uncomfortable, it was hard for me to acknowledge those things simply because she was the present parent, right? And even in that idea, I realized while journaling that my mother has a part to play as well. Now, before we really get into that, I want to lay the foundation and say, my mama, that's my girl. Okay? That's my heart. I do anything for her. I respect that woman to life. Okay? So I don't want what I'm getting ready to go into to make it seem as though that I'm trying to paint this picture of her being the big bad wolf or anything of that nature, because she's not. Okay? So I want that to be clear. Don't okay? Thank you so much. Anyway, but even with my mom being the present parent, doing the things that she had to do, as a single mother with 3 children, with 3 different schedules, and had 2 jobs, and, had to really just figure it out, I realized that there was a certain level of, emotionally, I just felt dropped in some senses, right? And I did not want me feeling that way to come across as her being a bad parent or her not doing her job or anything of that nature. And sitting in that emotionally has been hard. I'm not gonna lie. I literally had planned to record this video like a day or so ago, and then I really just had to wait because I just felt like it was just a lot, and I didn't feel like emotionally I was really ready to really dive into it, because it is uncomfortable. When I realized that my mother had a part to play, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Because like I said, with relationships that are close to me that have proven to be trustworthy, I'm like they get close enough, and I'm like, oh my God, they're too close. They're too close. They're too close. So being in the South and being in a real Southern environment, it left me open, or it allowed me to experience that stereotypical Southern church thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but very traditional, very I guess you would say conservative type of ideas, especially when it came to sexuality. There was definitely a lot of homophobic rhetoric that I was exposed to. And even as a child that's, coming of age and discovering and, things of that nature, when I realized that some of the things that I was hearing, I was like kind of relating to, but didn't really know how, it was hard to navigate just as a child, period, developing and all that. So, that's within itself is very complex. But then when you have your parent and sometimes engaging in conversations that were jokingly talking about gay men or lesbian women or people who were othered in the church, although it was joking, there were jokes made and there were comments made. As a child, you don't really realize that, oh, it's a joke. Like, it's very lighthearted. It's more so like oh, you must be talking about me as well, right? And I think when I would hear different jokes like that, when I would hear different things and different comments and things of that nature, it allowed for me, as I continued to grow older, to be guarded. And even with that, understanding like, yo, whatever this gay thing is, whatever this same-sex thing is, it's bad. So we can't talk about it, right? Even though as a child I had many questions, I had many things like, I think I might like boys, but y'all saying that it's wrong, but internally it don't feel like it. It could be just very confusing, really trying to discover, really trying to figure out. And not until recently, as y'all know, I've come to like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm secure in, my queerness is not bad, that kind of thing. But back then, that wasn't the case. So I think even as it pertains to my mother, hearing those things, it really automatically made me guarded, right? And on top of everything that I was already emotionally going through with my father not being present, I think that those jokes, and from my mother's side, it would just be added on top of one another, right? So even as I continue to develop, whenever it came to anything sexuality based, I always lived like, because it's almost like you're my mother, I know you love me, I know you care about me, I know you'll do anything for me, but when it comes to this side of me, you don't like this side, so let me just draw back from that and let's do other things, right? And I was on the phone with my sister today, and I told her, I said, for a very long time, because I didn't feel like that side of me was not liked or was not appreciated or would not be acknowledged or accepted. Honestly, I overcompensate in other areas, right? So as many of you do know that I am a singer, been singing and really interested in music since I was very young. And I think at a very early age, once I found music to be like a therapeutic thing for me, I think knowing that was one thing that I did well, one thing that was praised, I started to unknowingly do it all the time, right? To overcompensate or to strengthen or to highlight this part of myself that I knew everybody liked. So it was like hey, don't look over here, but look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. And it was almost like a performance thing to be like, hey, accept me, accept me, accept me. But whenever we get over here to the sexuality piece, to the gay thing, to the queer thing, whatever that conversation looked like at a specific time, it was almost like so it was like hey, look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here. But it was overcompensation just so you wouldn't look at this over here. So even with the music thing, I think for a very long time, before I developed my own relationship with God and my own personal relationship and my own understanding and revelation of Jesus and all that stuff, I went to church because that was something that was important to my mother. I just was like, okay, this is what we do. We're in church like 4 times a week, and we always at the church doing something. And I knew because that was important to her, I stayed and I continued to do all the things just so it wouldn't put attention on the piece that I felt like she hated or that she didn't really like, right? And I think even in that understanding, it really had me to think like, I know you love me, I know you care about me, but do you like me? Do you like me? Like, I know you love me as your child, as your son, but whenever it comes to, the sexuality piece of me, and because it was not necessarily the thing that it maybe you originally thought or you originally saw my life being, do you like me, right? And I always get hit with, comments such as, only God can judge you, and that's between you and God, and different things of that nature. But I think even in saying that, it dismisses my experience in a way to where it's almost like I really don't like it, but I just leave that to God. And it's just like, and for a very long time, it left a question mark in the back of my head because it was just like, huh? Like, I get that, and I do believe that only God can judge me, and I do believe that what God thinks about me is the only thing that really matters and things of that nature. But in the context of this conversation of sexuality, it's like, so I'm really currently at a place to where it's like, I know she likes me. I know that she cares about me, right? But I have to deal with the emotions that were unacknowledged for years upon years. So I really am at the space where I'm really dissecting and really unlocking different ideas or different emotional truths that are uncomfortable. So, I think that's just where I am with that right now. I think because I feel, or I unknowingly had felt for so long, emotionally dropped, I think it left me feeling like, and the thing is, if you're constantly living like, I'm never breathing, You know, I'm never at a relaxed state, right? I'm always feeling like uneasy, you know, and even have a conversation about my different realities about sexuality and things of that sort. I think it's still that same. And I'm never able to relax. I'm always in defense mode. I'm always in, okay, what's the best thing, what's the next thing to talk about so we don't have to talk about this? But I'm really learning to not only honor myself and my story, but honor my feelings in that. And like, no, I get what you said, but this is just how I feel about it. I don't want to get too caught up in, talking in circles or whatever, but, even if the present parent, whether it be, mom, dad, or grandma, auntie, whoever, even in the you may not having the worst story or you may not having the most extreme upbringing, it's okay to acknowledge that. And I was talking to my sister and I said, the hardest thing with this, emotional space is that she was the present one, right? For years I heard, the story, the jobs and the late nights and the early mornings and the sacrifices and all those things. And the understanding side of me does not want to, and me revealing my truth, revealing my experience by way of, what she had to do to survive. I don't want that experience to dishonor or make her feel as though she did a horrible job, because she didn't. She did not at all. And I think what makes it even more challenging is having my oldest sister having, little odds with her and things of that nature. So I'm like, you already get that. So by me expressing this, I don't want it to be overwhelming you and make it seem like you didn't do a good job at all, So this is just me talking. This is just me expressing myself. This is just me navigating through another emotional space that's uncomfortable, but it's definitely needed because I think it will unlock another level of closeness, another level of intimacy, even within my relationship, my close relationships. And it's not necessarily just romantic relationships. It's just relationships, period. So, let's really get into these hard truths. Let's really get into these spaces of ourselves that are uncomfortable. And I think even in that, even leaning into that, it'll allow us to really heal. You know me, all about healing, all about self-growth, all about, internal stuff, evolution, So I'm going to continue to be open, honest, and transparent. And yeah, that is the video. So I really hope that can really, in me sharing my truth, sharing my story, it really allows, it really helps other people to unlock different truths, or even to turn the light on in your story, and whatever your thing, your hard thing may be, to really just face it, to be able to heal. And if you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. One of my mentors just, recommended therapy, and I'm just like, I gotta do this again. But I think for some of us who have hard things to process through, it's good to have that other person, that unbiased party that would allow us the space to not judge ourselves and give ourselves the room to experience different emotions. And I think that's the key thing for me when it comes to therapy. So even if you're a believer or not, get therapy. Seriously, talk to somebody. Sit on somebody's couch. Get about the tissue. Talk, cry, scream, do something. But don't just sit. We have too many things. There's too many things going on in the world that does not give us the opportunity to, or the time rather, to just not acknowledge stuff. So get help, heal, talk to somebody, okay? So I love y'all. Make sure y'all go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe. There are more videos to come. And until next time, I will see you